Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, you can see here we're in sunny Anaheim, California. This weekend is Reefapalooza. We're actually doing something a little bit different this go around. Vic is busy doing his thing, so I'm gonna do a tank tour, and we're gonna go see a friend of ours, Phil. He's been in the hobby for a long time. He's got a nice aquarium I have yet to see, so I guess we're gonna see it together. Phil,
I'm all nervous, dude.
thanks for having us, buddy.
No problem.
I guess first, let's talk about what we're looking at here. So this is a 5 foot long aquarium?
4 foot.
4 foot. Okay, so we've got 48 by
30
48 by 30
by 24.
by 24. That's a cool dimension. What made you go with the tank that size?
The size of the house.
Yeah?
I couldn't go any bigger.
No, it fits well. So I think we have a pretty generalized theme here. You've got stony corals. Is there a reason for that?
I just want to do SPS, mainly SPS.
And you've always done SDS?
No, but now I'm doing SPS. It's at one point, LPS was much easier. Now I can do SPS, so I'm sticking with SPS.
So Phil's a long-term reefer. He's been around for how many years in the hobby?
2009. So
Good Lord.
if I had to add, I can't add right now.
And you're with the
SCMS, Southern California Marine Society.
Awesome. So I'm assuming you got a bunch of buddies in the hobby too.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys got a pretty big reef club over here.
Yes.
I guess let's start with a couple of the real basics. First thing that blew me away when I walked in here is that Potter's Wrath.
Oh.
How long have you
No,
had him?
Potter's Angel.
I'm sorry, Potter's
Potter's
Angel.
Angel.
Hello. And you never have a problem with him picking on your coral?
None at all.
Super cool. I'm not a fan of angels myself because I like my corals more than I like my fish.
Well, so do I, but that's why I was worried when I put that Go Flake in there.
And that's a polymictes. So that's a really super cool fish. You don't see a lot of those either. And you said you got them super small?
Yeah, that's what I was told in the hobby. When you get them small, less chance of them picking at coral.
Yeah.
And he's not picking at anything that I can see.
And what do you feed them?
I feed them brine shrimp, mysis shrimp, and pellets.
So what kind of wrasses do you have in here?
So I like leopards. So I have a variety of leopards. I have that used to be an ornate, just took off.
Okay.
I think they call the white and black one a China wrasse.
Yeah.
But I don't know the real name.
Okay, so copper band for up to Asia?
Yes.
It's a win for me. I pretty much put one in every single tank.
Yep.
And then we've got, for tangs, you've got the hippo. You've got the orange shoulder. Super juvenile still. That's really cool.
Yep.
Normally they get to be about that big and they start to transition. And it doesn't look like he's trying very hard.
I got them. All my fish I get small.
I love it.
Then I have a purple tang in there, and I think that's all for the tangs.
I'm assuming you went with Fiji pink because of the wrasses.
Yes.
And I see that it's moving around here in the front. Is that a pain?
It is a pain, but I mean, as long as the wrasses have somewhere to live, they'll be fine.
So this tank has been set up for how long?
3 years.
3 years. And is this like what it looked like in the beginning, or has it's been multiple iterations?
Oh yeah, it's been a lot of cycles. A lot of cycles already.
The first thing that stands out to me when I walked in here, I saw the sand moved here in the front corner, and then I looked on the back wall, and you've got all your power heads on the back wall.
Yes.
So there's 2 MP40s,
2 MP10s.
there's 2 MP10s, and there's a gyre.
Gyre.
So what's the mindset behind that?
Flow. Corals like a lot of flow. So I want a lot of flow.
And do you know what kind of cycles you run them on?
I have them set on a cycle.
Okay, so it looks like your MP40s you're running on average 2,000 to 2,500 gallons per hour.
Right.
And then the MP10s,
I think they're running on the same.
right around 900 gallons per hour.
Yeah.
And it looks like it cycles a little bit up and down. Do you find that much flow is tough on the LPS?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
They like it.
They like it. You can see them. They're happy. I haven't lost any heads on them. Actually, they've been growing more.
And what was the reasoning behind putting torches in here with stonies?
I like them.
Fair.
And they're not affecting the chemistry. So as you see, they don't have much LPS. That's the whole thing. The torches.
Cinerina, Scoli,
Yep.
the chalices.
And basically the NEMs.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everything else is basically stony.
So before we started shooting here, we were talking a little bit about this, and I think there's something really cool here. So Phil doesn't get sucked into all the gimmicky names. He doesn't buy things based on desirability in the market. Why do you buy things?
Because I like them.
Because you like
Because
them.
I like them.
I think that's incredible. I think that's a huge message for everybody out there. If they look good and you like the way that they grow,
Yep.
that's what you should buy.
And the only problem with that is that when you try to resell them, you don't know what they are, and people, oh, okay, they all want to buy names, and I don't go by them. I don't go by the hype.
Understood. But it looks good, man. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you see how you've got your torches moving over here, you've got this little clump of hammers, the little clump of Duncans, the torches, and the anemones there on the backside, you've got your movement, you've got your structure, and you've got a good mix of color. And I think execution-wise, you nailed it.
Thank you. I wish I could put more, but there's no more room.
There's always room, Phil.
But where? I mean,
Well, if it was me, I would probably start by going on the backside where that big, gigantic Monty is.
it took over.
And I would take this entire center section of rock out and replace it with something different, and maybe build a little bit up the back wall and bring your acros up in the back.
Easier said than done. A lot of this rock is glued together. It's basically a shelf rock. It's not Marco. It's Stacks.
Okay, so
Stacks.
Julian's
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just glued on, so it's gonna be they're glued on together.
Look, nobody said that this is easy after it's set up.
Yeah.
The hard part of the hobby for me is thinking about how the next generation of my tank is going to look.
Right.
Because it's never going to be one generation and done.
Right.
Ever.
That's true. That's true.
You know, and you were talking about how the anemones, you don't know how to get them off. Well, the truth of the matter is you don't really have a ton of rock in here. It wouldn't take nothing to set up a table right here one day and a hammer and chisel and start breaking things apart. And it sucks because, you know, you've gotten to the point where you're really happy with the setup.
Yeah, but I just wish I had more room.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, so you kind of got to weigh out your pros and your cons. Are you really wanting that space back? Well, if so, it's time to redo something.
Yeah, I do. It's just the thing, like I said, it's once you start messing with the rocks and the sand, the chemistry, and then you start getting algae blooms, I'm afraid to touch it now.
Yeah,
but it's a thing to do. I might do that.
So the tank, you said it's a what brand?
Lemar.
Is that company still in business?
No.
It's been gone for a while.
Been gone for like maybe 5 years.
Yeah, it still looks really good.
Yeah.
You have 3 Gen 6 blues.
Yes.
Why'd you go with 3 instead of 2 on a 4-foot tank?
More coverage. It had the extra lights.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that if you took this middle one out and you kept the blades, do you think you would get the same effect?
I probably would.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, because I was told that the Radions cover 2x2.
They do.
So I figured I used to run 2x2, but I decided to put 3 because I wanted more coverage. I wanted more light. I want the corals to grow faster.
So you and I have the same mindset behind equipment. I'm not a huge fan of spending a ton of money on equipment. However, I do think that there's a lot of benefit to having multiple devices.
Right.
You're not running these very strong. I looked at your lighting schedule and you've got them at 60%.
Okay.
So at an acro tank, I think that that's fairly low. So the benefit is you're not pushing the light to the very end of its capacity.
Right.
So it's going to be longer lived. 2, you have really smooth coverage. I can look every single nook and cranny in this tank and there's good coverage of lighting.
That was my goal. I wanted light on everything.
Yeah, and it worked. It's definitely working. So you also mentioned a few minutes ago that the tank wasn't doing good until
automatic water changes.
So you do automatic water changes now, and you weren't doing a lot of water changes before.
Nope.
How often before were you doing water changes?
Maybe once every 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And that was 25 gallons.
What do you think was the difference between going to automatic water changes versus once every couple of months?
Well, basically all my nitrates and phosphates are in check now. Before they were not in check. All my parameters were totally off. So yeah, and it's just hard, you know, carrying 5-gallon jugs every day, taking them out. I mean, at least twice a month, and you know, I'm not a young kid anymore, so it's like.
So you were lugging water jugs?
Yes.
How many gallons at a time?
About 5-gallon jugs.
Wow.
I would take 5 out and put 5 back in. It got to the point where something had to change.
So that's a good message too. For anybody who's in the hobby, make things easier for you.
Yeah, and it's not hard. I mean, it's just, you got the Apex dose or any kind of dose, You get your saltwater system set up, pump the water in, pump it out. It does it all by itself.
What target parameters do you keep here?
I try to keep my elk at least at 9, my calcium at 460, and my magnesium, I'm trying to keep it at over 1400.
Okay.
That's my goal.
And now that you're doing the automatic water changes, your nitrates and phosphates stay how low?
My nitrates, I keep them like at 1.3, and then my phosphates are like at 0.05.
That's good. That's about what I keep
Yeah.
my tank at.
That's what they're at right now. Last time I test.
So did you find that you started going through less A and B when you started doing more water changes?
Yes.
And you use A, B, and Mag now. What brand do you use?
BRS.
And about how much are you dosing?
It's set at 12 mils 8 times a day.
Okay.
And,
Now,
on elk. And magnesium, calcium 10 mils 12 times a day.
so you go for the consistency. I like
Yes.
that. For anybody who's dosing manually once a day, that's spreading that entire dose out over the entire period of the day. And the benefit of that is if you were to graph it, you're not seeing this big spike and then a slow fall.
Right.
Whereas now with Phil's graphing, it would probably be pretty consistent all the way across. So we're in California and we've got pretty warm temperatures, and you said your water change stuff is outside.
Outside.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'd never be able to do that in Florida without a monster chiller. Our nights never get cool. You do have a chiller on the tank though.
Yes.
How often do you think that runs?
It runs maybe 5-6 hours a day.
5-6 hours a day. And what is the temperature inside of your house?
Keep it at 73 degrees.
Okay. So it's fairly cool. I'm
Yeah.
surprised the chiller has to run.
Yeah, well, it does, because it's in the area that we're sitting right now, it does tend to.
It's got windows on 2 sides. Warmer, right?
Yeah, it's warmer.
And it's controlled how?
It's controlled through the apex.
So do you have any kind of redundancy set up?
Well, the chiller has its own redundancy because it's a chiller set at its own temperature,
Okay.
but the apex controls it. If it stays on too long.
How about heaters? Do you run heaters?
Yes.
Okay. And how many watts?
One 250 watt.
One 250 watt heater. Does it have its own controller?
No, like I said, it has its own manual controller, but the apex is the main control.
That's why I asked like that, because for me that's the most critical thing. Number one failure point's a heater,
Yes.
right? But you got 2 redundancies.
Yes.
One, it controls itself, and then 2, it'll shut off when there's a problem and
Yes.
it doesn't control it.
And that's what I like about the apex.
Yeah, it's incredible. So you monitor pH, ORP.
Salinity. Well, it monitors the alk, the calcium, and magnesium.
Okay,
So it monitors them, but it doesn't check them.
so you don't have it set to override any kind of dosing control.
No.
What kind of doser do you use?
GHL.
So you have a GHL 3-head?
Forehead.
4-head. What do you do with the 4th head?
Nothing.
Do you have anything set up based on pH?
I
No?
just run the scrubber.
The CO2
The
scrubber?
CO2 scrubber. Yeah.
And the CO2 scrubber, do you see the benefit from that?
Oh, yeah. Because my house is always sealed, so it's the big benefit. It keeps the pH where I want it to be at.
And how high does it get?
The pH stays basically over 8.
So the CO2 scrubber is hooked up to a skimmer. Obviously, what kind
Yes.
of skimmer?
Bubble King 150.
Awesome. Nice skimmer. Always been a fan of the Bubble
Yeah.
King.
Me too.
Super quiet, very reliable. So this is you said it's a feeling roller mat.
Feeling, yes.
Okay.
So it's a trigger sump.
How long does it take for you to go through a roll on that?
About a month and a half.
Month and a half.
Month and a half.
So it's really quiet. You've got a bean animal style drain.
Yep.
And a ghost overflow.
Ghost overflow.
And this algae scrubber, what brand is this?
The Clearwater algae scrubber.
And what's the trigger? How do you know it's time to clean it?
Just look into the glass and see if it's totally full.
So you got to do that yourself.
Yeah. Manually look at it. Yeah.
How often is the Trident testing?
It tests twice a day.
Twice a day. So
Yeah.
how often do you have to change those reagents?
I think maybe every 2 months.
Okay.
It seems to be running out.
You've had a lot of changes since the tank has been set up.
Yes.
If I was to ask, what would be your next revision if you were to make a big change?
Bigger tank.
Bigger tank.
Bigger tank.
I thought it fit the spot good.
Yeah, but now I'm always wanted a peninsula tank. So,
Really?
Yeah. So bigger tank.
Okay.
And of course, you want more coral. You want more fish.
And would you keep the equipment the same, or would you go with different stuff?
No, same equipment.
Same equipment.
Same equipment.
So
I'm happy with
you've
it.
got that figured out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I like it, Phil. I
Oh,
think that's really cool that you don't get sucked into the gimmicky names. I think that it's really cool that you buy things because they excite you.
Yep.
I think that it's cool that you spent all this time, you know, working with different types of equipment until you finally found the stuff that you like.
Yep.
It's a good point. That's what reefing to me is about, is figuring out what works for you
And what you like.
and what you like and then doing it good. Well, awesome, Phil. I really appreciate you having us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
I love talking tank.
So do I.
Man, super cool episode. It was nice to come see Phil. I haven't seen you since what, New York,
New York, yeah.
right?
New York.
Don't forget, if you like these videos and you want to see another tank tour or another informational video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you want to get the notifications, and we'll see you next time.